socialism has creeped in. These more and more and more programs have come up until we're actually living in not a capitalist, not a highly free market country, and in a partially socialist country. And that is what is making us feel like things are broken and wrong. And we're blaming the wrong culprit, right? I mean, we're blaming capitalism. This is American Bedrock. I'm JJ, your host, and I can't believe what has happened this week. I think a lot of us can't. I mean, it's depressing. Conservatives did not show up. They didn't vote, and we got slaughtered. I was running for city council here in Longmont, and let me tell you, I dropped out because I am pregnant and I didn't think I could put my full force into running when I was so tired with my first trimester. And Jake Marsing, I don't think he would like it if I called him a communist, but I mean, he's very liberal, supported by 33, I think, different liberal politicians on his website. I mean, it's an obscene number, and he got so much funding, and he's the only person that sent out text messages. I would have done that if I was running. I think that would have helped a lot. And I think he went door to door. He was the liberal spokesperson for Longmont, and Longmont is liberal. That's where I'm from, Longmont, Colorado. And Colorado is liberal. Well, I mean, in the big places, right? This is the Front Range. This is where all the people generally are. And yes, there are a lot of liberals here. But if you look at the state, it's a red state. And do you know how many people voted? Only something like 35% of people voted. And that is a shame. That's a real shame. Why? Why didn't you vote? I was talking with my husband today, and he said, it's almost like suicide. And I said, well, it's like the laziest suicide ever. Like, literally, you didn't turn in, I mean, they're mail-in ballots. And you didn't even turn in a ballot? What? Why? Do you just believe it's so broken? Or do you just think that it's, I don't know, we need to teach our children that voting matters. Now, here's the deal. When I was younger, up until maybe about 5 years ago, so until I was about 30, I didn't vote. I refused to vote, and this is why. I believed that the right and the left were both shitty. There weren't any good options. Everybody, the conservative person sucked, was uninspiring, and the Democrat was also uninspiring. Neither showed me their values, and so, or shared values with me is what I meant to say. So why would I vote for them, right? I didn't really think about local elections. I didn't look into local elections. It was mostly about the president. That's how a lot of people think. But local elections, now that I'm older and actually went to school for politics and have been interested in this, local elections are where it's at, okay? That is what's really going to make big changes in your life, for how many taxes you owe on your house, for what changes in your community, and a lot of other things. And here in Longmont, when I drive around and I want to do like a short post, with my phone and drive around and go to all of the insane apartments that are being built around here. And they're being built in the name of in the name of affordable housing. Now, here's the deal. A lot of these places say they're affordable housing, but only, I believe it's 12% of the apartments need to be considered affordable. The others are just get to be rented into perpetuity and are often luxury apartments. I'm serious. And so I don't want thousands of more people moving into the city, and neither do a lot of other people. But then they see that and they think, oh, but it's affordable housing. No, the whole place isn't affordable housing. Just some of the units are. Okay? And now all of a sudden you've got this new facility going in with 400 units, and that's 400 more people moving into Longmont or moving into your city. And think of the traffic. Think of the people in the stores. I want to live in a smaller town. Longmont has grown, I think, by 14,000 people over the last decade, I believe it is. And it's going to grow faster than that. This thing's exponential. At least when you look at the homes being built, right? So, and they're just ugly, giant, multi-story apartment buildings. Is that what people's dream is? To live in an apartment building and rent forever? I don't really understand why this is what our city council is allowing to come into the city. And that was one of the big issues for me. But I didn't finish my run, and so who knows what would have happened if I got in. Either way, most of Colorado got swept blue. LL and MM are going to steal our Tabor money under the guise of suicidal empathy, essentially. They sold it as, oh, we need to feed all of the kids in schools. I showed my kid what the lunches are going to be like, and she doesn't want anything to do with lunches from the school. How can you trust that? It's going to be filled with a bunch of junk. She wants my homemade stuff, and I'm glad. And that's what she's going to get. So where does her lunch go, right? She only goes to school one day a week because I homeschool, and it's like a supplement program, but I don't know. I don't really understand why we need to pay higher $12.5 million and higher in taxes. Well, they're going to actually just take it out of what should have been returned to us through Tabor. And anyways, it's obscene. I'm going to try a few things because these first few podcasts are me learning how to do it. So let's see what it looks like. I've got a second camera. I'm getting new cameras. These are just kind of the little cameras that stick on top of your screen. So let's go to a different view. I think it would be this one. No, that one. Hey, look at that. So here's another view. I tried to clean up my background too, but it's not perfect. I'm still in the guest house. But hi. What else did I want to say? It's just depressing. And then of course, elephant in the room, Mom Donnie. Zoran. Seriously? Insane the amount of people who voted for him, who are clueless about socialism and communism and what they actually mean, and what, every time they've been tried, what they have done to the population. I don't see how people could be that uninformed. It's really a shame. I find it crazy, right? So I came to the realization yesterday that the U.S. really isn't much of a capitalist country anymore. They tell us that it is. And yes, there are some aspects that are capitalist. But we have so many rules and so many regulations on our trade, our economy, and businesses that it barely resembles a free market. I mean, a free market is like, it's supposed to be like, if you've ever learned anything about permaculture or learning the patterns and the way natures work, it's chaos. But there's some patterns in there and you follow them. And I mean, that's really what capitalism, what a free market is. It's free. It's not filled with pages this high of regulations. You know what I mean? But that's how our country is now. So meanwhile, I think we're pretty deep into the US leaning towards a socialist nation. I mean, like, here's free market capitalist country and here's a socialist country and here's the middle. And I think that we've pretty much moved a little bit past the middle towards socialism. I mean, who knows where we are on the scale, but think about it. We have a hefty percentage of people getting anything from food stamps, EBT, SNAP, Medicaid, and Obamacare and HUD. Again, we had a technical difficulty, so we'll see how it goes. I put a pillow over here because I keep getting this reverb echo, and I don't know how to change it. So I've been told that a pillow over here might help. So we'll see if that helps the sound. But somehow my technical difficulty cut me off. So back to it. I was talking about how the US kind of doesn't seem like a capitalist country anymore. It feels like it's starting to lean more towards a socialist country. And there's a big piece of this, right? So back to what I was talking about. I'll get to the main point in a moment, but there are so many people getting these free programs, right? From Medicaid, Obamacare, HUD, EBT, food stamps, all the things, right? And it makes me feel like, sure, we're not in a communist country, right? Not yet. And we may not be a full socialist country either, but we've been like a frog boiling in boiling water. Slowly, it started probably decades ago, and then we've drifted further and further away from the original idea of our country. We're supposed to be a nation of freedom and free markets that's built on merit and working hard and proving ourselves. And instead, it seems like we've turned into a nation of give me free stuff, I don't want to do anything. And I mean, I've experienced not needing to do anything. When my husband and I first got married, we lived in our camper van very cheaply. We had enough money to live for the year. We did a year living in the camper van. And so we didn't need to work. And let me tell you something. It really hit us that living life with no purpose, no job, meandering around is depressing. We went and we worked on some farms, and it was nice to have a job. It was funny because my husband was an electrical engineer, and at some of these farms, one of these farms, we had to count beans. I think they were fava beans, and look for weevils and dig them out. Like, literally, that was our job. And we didn't get paid for it. We just did it, and then we got a free room and board, food from the farm, things like that. That was one of our jobs, was counting beans. And let me tell you that it was a lot better than just being on the road and not having any purpose. And so I think that a big problem with what a lot of the people who are on EBT or, not making a living and just getting everything for free are sitting around watching TV and feeling hopeless, feeling like there's no place for them. And it's a horrible feeling. I mean, not having a purpose, not having a job, not having a point, not having something that you're supposed to do. I mean, it can be even taking care of children. I mean, that's a huge job. It's not the typical 9-to-5 job, and that doesn't matter. You just need work. That's very important. Anyways, I think our country's drifted so far away from those original ideas of what made it what it was, what it is supposed to be. And I think it's drifting towards socialism, and that has brought us to this extreme state of people feeling like capitalism has failed them. But that's not the case. When you really we don't really live in a strong state of capitalism anymore. We maybe live in more of a socialist oligarchy. But it's made us all feel like something's wrong. I mean, we all know it. We all know that something has decayed and the system's broken. But we're blaming it on capitalism, and it's not capitalism. It's the fact that we've over-regulated capitalism so that it's not a free market anymore. Oligarchy, corporations have taken over the nation. I think we can all agree on that. And then socialism has creeped in. These more and more and more programs have come up until we're actually living in not a capitalist, not a highly free market country, and in a partially socialist country. And that is what is making us feel like things are broken and wrong. And we're blaming the wrong culprit, right? I mean, we're blaming capitalism when that's not what we are anymore. And I think a lot of people don't see this, and I think it's really important. So a lot of the youth, I think, are looking at socialism and communism as saviors, when actually us falling into a deeper and deeper socialist economy is what's actually causing the painful state that we're in, right? We're heavily regulated. We're almost cartelized. What am I trying to say? Almost like run by a cartel of corporations. Everything's subsidized, especially big corporations. We're living on this debt-driven hybrid system that strips away the virtues of capitalism. And my light ran out of batteries. And the safety. So we're not living within the virtues of capitalism, and we're not living within the true safety of socialism. I don't know if I'd call it that, but we're neither one, right? We're in this middle ground of having lots of handouts and free stuff for people, but blaming it on capitalism that we are falling apart when we're not really giving ourselves the real things that make America capitalist. So America doesn't resemble free market capitalism anymore. In a free market, you'd see like open competition, right? Or low barriers to entry. Let me tell you, having our own business, I'd say that a lot, huh? Let me tell you. But having our own business, we really, really recognize how there are so many barriers to entry, even for a small business like ours. There should be incentives to innovation. Instead, there's so many regulations that you can't innovate. I think I heard a talk by Elon Musk, or maybe it was his book. Anyways, that he tried so much to innovate things, and there's just rules and regulations blocking him at every step. And he has to work to get around them and find ways to innovate when there's rules keeping him from doing it. And I can see that, because even in our small business, there are things that we're doing that are pushing the limits, and they bump up against regulation, and they shouldn't. there's just too many. I mean, the stacks of laws, it's insane, right? I mean, none of us can know what any of them all are. Anyways, there's regulatory regimes that are crushing small businesses, right? There's licensing requirements that prevent people from rising up, making their own businesses again. There's tax code written by and for corporate interests that is so complicated that small businesses can't barely make it over the hurdles and understand what they're doing, right? I mean, a big business can have lots of tax people come in and help them, and a small business, that's a big cost. I should be able to do my own taxes for a little while at least, right? It's so complicated. There's industrial cartels that are protected by the state. Think of like the meat industry. It's insane how protected they are. There's bailouts and subsidies and market rigging. I mean, these are all things that are helping the big guys and keeping the competition of new entities from coming in and taking even a little share of the market. It's insane. And then there's banking and currency systems that are socializing losses and privatizing gains, and it's just a messed up show, right? It's not a free market. And it's a shame, because I really think a free market would help so many things. But when politicians get in, what they do is they like to add new laws. It's always about adding a new law. Let's add this law and let's add that law. No. We should be removing laws. I don't think I've ever heard a politician say, my whole thing is to get rid of laws. Now in Idaho, they had this thing that they passed called sunset clauses, a sunset clause. And this is awesome. And when I brought this up to one of the other constituents running for city council, he about lost it. He thought that was the most stupid thing ever. To go back every 5 years and say, that law's done, that law's done, that law's done, get rid of it. Instead, we just stack them, one on top of another, into forever, right? No, I want less laws. I want to get rid of things that we look back and we say, ooh, that was a bad choice. And there's a lot of those. A lot of them regarding immigration right now, I think would be really good to go back and sunset or come up with ways to get rid of them, right? So we have some immigration problems in our country. Anyways, to move on, I don't think we should be blaming capitalism for the sad negativity that we're in, for this, this rot of the country. And while I just spoke about immigration, and that's a whole nother can of worms, I think we need to be making sure, because this is a podcast about raising our children, that our kids know that socialism and communism are not going to save them. It's just learn some history. They're not going to save us. What's going to save us is going back. Make America great again. Going back again to free markets. And who knows what that's going to do. We always have to wonder what's going to happen in the future, but getting rid of regulations, sunsetting things, I think this is what needs to happen in not only our cities, but our states and our federal government. But nobody's talking about getting rid of rules. Why? I know my kids want me to get rid of rules. Yeah, I only have 3 rules in the house. I mean, there's some other ones too, like not eating in the living room, but mainly it's not hitting or punching or hurting each other. Listen to me the first time. That one's I'm pretty lenient on, unfortunately. And there's one other. I don't remember it, but it's written up on the fridge. So it's a better place when the rules are easy and simple. God gave us 10 commandments. They're pretty simple things to live by. I'm not saying we need to go back to just the 10 commandments, but we need to go back to a simpler thing and kind of start over. I don't know. That's my point of view. What's yours? We'll see. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. We'll see how the editing of this one goes. Don't be depressed. Keep your house bright, right? Keep your home bright and keep your hearts courageous. Stay brave. Hope and think about ways to teach your children to push forward in this world. And we as a group, we need to think about our kids. We need to make the world a better place for them, because the things I'm seeing online these days, I don't want my kids to live in that world. I just don't want it. And I know you don't either. So let's do this. Let's keep moving forward. Let's come up with solutions that we can both teach our children and maybe get into action now. Because it's important. As a parent, it's the most important thing to make sure the future is safe for our kids and is incredible for our kids and is beautiful for our kids. But right now, if my kids were in their teens to 30s, my age, I'm a little older than 30, I would be devastated that that's the country I left for my children. So let's not let that happen. Let's save it. I'll see you next week. Hopefully we have some good ideas by then, right? And it hasn't gone downhill even more. Vote.